Um, Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, and welcome to South Sudanese Women's Intellectual Forum. My name is Veronica Igale Monoja, and I am your moderator for today. Welcome, Ayak.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. So our topic of discussion today is menstrual hygiene management and practices among women and girls. And on that note, I would like to wish each and every one of us a very happy Menstrual Hygiene Day. Um, Menstrual Hygiene Day has been celebrated annually since 2014 to highlight the importance of good menstrual hygiene management at the global level. It focuses on breaking the silence, raising awareness, and also engaging decision makers to increase the political will to accelerate action for menstrual hygiene at the global, national, and local levels. According to statistics, 800 million women and girls menstruate daily. Yet menstruation and menstrual hygiene is one of the hardest topics to talk about, as it is associated with impurity, dirt, and even sickness. Around the world, women and girls face isolation, shame, and danger because of misinformation and stigma surrounding their periods. Poor menstrual hygiene management undermines educational opportunities, health, and the social status of women and girls. In the African setting, a girl's first period is seen as a signal that she's ready for marriage and childbearing. Other communities use it as an opportunity to initiate the girl child into repugnant cultural practices such as female genital mutilation. These misconceptions reinforces gender inequality and perpetuate the perception that women and girls are less valuable. Inadequate menstrual hygiene is a challenge that affects women all over the globe. However, women and girls living in poverty are more vulnerable. Menstrual products available or too expensive to afford. And without proper items to manage menstruation, many women and girls are vulnerable to breakthrough bleeding. To avoid being humiliated and teased, many women and girls stay home from work and from school, putting women and girls who are already disadvantaged to further lag behind in terms of opportunities. The absence of guidance, facilities, and materials for women and girls to manage their menstruation continues to pose the greatest hurdle to women and girls in development. Um, Another useful fact I would like to add before I introduce our participants today is why do we celebrate Menstrual Hygiene Day on 28th of May? Now, 28th month. Uh, Sorry about that. So, having an internet challenge with our internet. Yes, I was still saying the number 28 and then the number 5 also signifies the average number of days a woman bleeds. But also that means there are women who bleed for 2 to 3 days, and then there are those who bleed for also more than 5 days. On that note, I would now like to introduce our discussants for today. You're very welcome. I would like to start with Dr. Dr. Ayak is an obstetrician and gynecologist, and currently she's working at the Mary Help Hospital in Wau, South Sudan. You're welcome, Dr. Ayak. You can just unmute and wave. Our second discussant for today is
Yes,
Miss
yes.
Gloria. Yes. Thank you,
Yes,
Ayak.
yes. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening.
Yes, thank you. Our second
I can listen
discussant
you.
for
Yeah.
today is yes, can you unmute? Do you mind unmuting, Dr. Ayak? We can hear you loud and clear, but if you can just unmute.
Can you hear
Yes,
me now?
yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you also.
Okay, now can you unmute
Okay.
yourself? Can you mute yourself?
Okay, you need me to mute myself. Okay.
Thank you. Now, our second discussant is Gloria Albert Pitia. Gloria is a menstrual health and hygiene advocate. She holds a bachelor's degree in pharmacy from Rajiv Gandhi University in India. She is also the co-founder of Arise African Youth Organization, a local NGO that empowers and mentors youth. She is an advocate for menstrual hygiene management and for girl child education. You're welcome, Gloria.
Thank you for having me.
Lastly, we have Florence Nelson. Florence is an entrepreneur and sexual reproductive health advocate. Florence is the executive director of Self-Sustainable Plans Initiative and also the program manager of AFRIAN. This is a regional network of adolescents and youth in Africa which works on sexual reproductive health. She is also the founder of Verizon General Trading Company. This company produces reusable sanitary pads called Verizon pads. Florence holds a BA in management and administration, and she is currently pursuing a second degree in public health. Ladies, you're all welcome, and thank you for being here. Now, I would like I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. For how long haven't you been hearing me? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Dr. Ayak. Dr. Ayak, can you hear me? Unmute yourself, please. Yes. Okay. The first question goes to you. What is considered as a healthy menstruation, and at what age do we experience menstruation? And why do some women experience very painful periods? Over to you.
So I will start general what is menstruation. Huh? So menstruation or mens or period is a natural, normal biological process in adolescents and women where each month the endometrial lining of the uterus is shed as the blood per vagina. So the blood we see each month is the endometrial lining of the uterus, is the one shedding. So it's a normal part of female reproductive cycle, which start at puberty and end at menopause. Except during pregnancy, we don't get the menstruation. No, short physiology about menstruation. So during reproductive life, there are two cycles that control woman reproduction. They are called female reproductive cycle, which are the ovarian cycle and the uterine cycle. So this cycle they occur in our body for the ovary to ovulate, and then when the ovary ovulate, the endometrial lining of the uterus it becomes thick like a sponge in a potential to support a pregnancy. If pregnancy failed to occur, then this endometrial lining of the endometrium is shed together with the eggs. They came as blood, which is a menstruation. So in case when a pregnancy occur, then this endometrium will support the pregnancy. So this is a normal physiology, and all this event in the female's body they are controlled by hormones, which are secreted by the ovary, and also hormone from the brain by the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus. So when you get your menstruation, normally mean you have a normal functioning ovary, normal uterus, and normal brain. So what is healthy menstruation? Uh, a typical normal menstruation, it should be have a length of 28 days. However, from 21 to 35 days are considered normal. And then the flow of the blood should last average of 4 days. From 2 to 6 days is also considered normal. And the amount of the blood that woman lose during the menstruation should be 80 ml. So the interval of the menstrual cycle it varies from one woman to another, and also in the same woman it can vary from one period of her age to different period. Like when the woman is in her 20s, the period will not the interval will not be the same like when she's in her 40s. I hope I'm clear. So there are some definitions that need to be clear. Like what is menage? Menage is the first time when the woman uh, start to have her menstrual cycle, and this usually occur between 10 to 16 years. So the average is 13 years old, but from 10 to 16 is acceptable. So there are some factors such as gene or diet, the nutritional status of the girl, and if she's having any disease, those factors they can accelerate or delay the age of menarche. And then we have the menopause. Menopause is the end of the reproductive life when the woman is stopped completely not to see her menstrual cycle. And the menopause start to occur from 45 to 55 years old. Also, the ages differ by depending on the gene, also the gene of the woman. There are some factors that can affect the age of menopause, such as if the woman she's secretly smoking or she's having severe malnutrition. So these factors they can accelerate the age of menopause. And then you have the menopausal symptom, which are symptoms due to withdrawal of estrogen, because at menopause woman will not be ovulating, the ovary will not be working, and then she will not be having estrogen in her body, so she will be having symptom of lack of estrogen, which are like hair loss, joint pain. She can break her bone easily, and then she having sexual dysfunction because the when before menopause the vagina used to secrete some discharge which she like this. So why some women get painful menstruation. So they are normally the woman, she can get some cramp, abdominal cramp during menstruation, which is normal, like due to when the uterus try to expel those tissues, so it contract. But when the pain is severe to the level that it's sufficient, like to affect your daily activity, then this is called painful menstruation. In medicine, we call dysmenorrhea. Then we need to seek health advice. And so there are several causes for dysmenorrhea, painful menses. So we have the primary amenorrhea, which is just sometimes they can not be identifiable causes. So we just manage it symptomatically. And then we have the secondary amenorrhea, which are due to disease. So most of the disease that cause secondary amenorrhea could be infection, genital tract infection, and then some disease called endometriosis. Endometriosis is when the endometrial lining of the uterus, it go and grow elsewhere, not within the uterus. Can it grow outside within the pelvic cavity or in the abdomen? But there is a treatment for all these conditions. There are other menstrual abnormalities I would like also to talk about, such as heavy and prolonged bleeding. Like some women will bleed with clot and then for prolonged days. So it is, we say that women having heavy and prolonged menses, which is called Menorrhagia, it when the bleeding occur in a normal interval, like every 28 days. But when it comes, she bleed for more than 7 days. And then the amount of the blood she lose. So the cause of heavy and prolonged menses is usually a symptom for underlying medical condition. The most common is infection or any abnormal growth within the uterus, which could be benign tumor such as fibroid, or could be cancer, or endometriosis also, and some type of contraceptive such as intrauterine contraceptive devices. They can also cause heavy and prolonged menstruation. And there are also functional causes such as hormonal imbalance. If you have imbalance in the hormones,
I think we have lost Ayak. So I will move to Gloria. Yes, Gloria, please. What are some of the common menstrual practices among young women and girls in South Sudan? And what challenges do they face when it comes to managing menstrual hygiene? Over to you. Unmute yourself, please, Gloria.
Hello, can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. Did you hear my question?
Yes, I did. I did hear your
Okay.
question. So I will start by, because you see, when we talk about menstruation, and in South Sudan, menstruation is regarded as women issue, and it's only women that talks about it. But then the conversation around menstruation, it's not an open topic. People don't talk about it as it should. So the practices that people have, and when we talk about South Sudan, I'm not talking Juba. South Sudan is not Juba. Juba is not South Sudan. So it's like the whole practices that we have in Juba and in South Sudan. People use different materials to stock up the blood, and that takes me back to the definition of menstrual hygiene management. They said it's a women and adolescents gowns using clean material, to collect and observe the blood, having privacy, having facilities for washing, and having facilities for disposable. And that's the definition according to UNICEF and WHO. In South Sudan, people use variety of things, and in Juba, people refer to it as elbows, and which is the parts, sanitary parts. There's use of all clothes. People use cotton. People use newspapers. This is some of the practices that we have in South Sudan in general. And then when you go beyond Juba, you have people, in some communities, you're forbidden to do a lot of things. If you're menstruating, you're not supposed to enter a kitchen. You're not supposed to do things. We think when we talk about that, people think that it's only in some religions, but it's not only religion, but also communities practice such things. You're not supposed to do certain things. You're not supposed to touch certain things. Some communities open for you a hole. You sit there for that time that you're bleeding until you bleed finish. So this is the common practices that we have in South Sudan, within South Sudan, And in Juba, people also use different kind of things. And the things that people use will actually lead to a lot of infection, as Dr. Ayak has mentioned in her presentation. Infection, genital infection, endometriosis, and many reproductive system infections. So this is the practices that we have in Juba and we have in South Sudan at large. When we look at the challenges, and I can say the challenges that people are facing and South Sudan are facing is the lack of information. Yeah, lack of information is the information in regards to menstrual hygiene. It's a by the way thing, especially in South Sudan. There is not a lot of effort that is being put to menstrual education. So there is a lot of, this is the challenges. People don't know. Even among us here in this discussion, when one of us has been asked right now, how was your first time? Then it's either you're traumatized, it's either you're unaware of whatever is happening in your body, and all that. And that's a lack of information. Parents are assigned to do that, especially mothers are assigned to do that, but then they don't pass the information. Or even if they do, it's not adequate information that the child is supposed to get. So one information, lack of infrastructures, in South Sudan, wash facilities. When I say wash facilities, I mean water, hygiene, and sanitation. When we look at the school infrastructure, we looked at workplaces. We don't have those in places. It's always overlooked, because menstrual hygiene management is a multi-sectoral. You include Ministry of Gender, include Ministry of Education, include Ministry of Health. So it's always overlooked. Those things are not in places for the girls to be able to manage their period in a very hygienic way, in a way that they can continue with their activities, especially in school. When I have my period, I would love to go back to my classes, but because of lack of this, then I will not be able to continue with my day-to-day activity. That's the challenges that we are facing in South Sudan. The third one, I can say, it's poverty. Period products are sold in a very expensive price in South Sudan. I am working, and all of us are working, but then to buy sanitary pads, it's just expensive. And then look at that aspect that it's a taboo. For us to be able, until now, it's a struggle for us to be talking about it right now, an open conversation, right? And then for a child to be able to communicate that with their mother, it's a struggle. So poverty also leads to that because our child will not be able to communicate. Family do not prioritize menstrual hygiene management or menstrual products. People are trying to get food on their tables, and menstrual hygiene product is not one of the things. So lack of infrastructure, lack of information, and then poverty. And this is what we are facing in South Sudan. I think I've answered your questions. And the practices that is happening in South Sudan is the use of all clothes, which is not healthy for the woman's body.
Yes,
And
thank you
awareness,
very much.
again, awareness, the stigma that is around menstruation, right? There's a lot of a stigma. It's impure, it's dirty. So you don't get to talk about it in public places. You don't get to address what is happening in your body. So, and I think I would say that menstruation and menstrual health education has to be really taken serious. It doesn't have to be like a by the way thing, but it has to be taken serious. Like with focus, and we have to have a strategy of how we are doing that when we're teaching our girls and our boys also. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gloria, for that very elaborate answer. And I think when we talk of lack of awareness, we can all relate. If I try now to say, can anybody tell me how their first time was? We all have our own experiences about our first time. And even now, just to walk freely into a shop and purchase a sanitary product, there's always this thing: give me a plastic bag, so I can hide it. And yes, so I think this is something we can all relate to. Thank you very much. Florence, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So my question to you is, what sanitary options are available in our market, and how affordable are they? And are sanitary products taxed?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Veronica. First, I would like to say happy international or happy Menstrual Hygiene Day to everyone, being a man or a woman. Yeah, I know some men will say, no, we're not supposed to celebrate this because we're not menstruating. But then we should not forget the fact that we are all products of a missed period. So we have a reason to celebrate in one way or the other. Yeah. Um, Going straight to your point, we have so many options or that are available in the market, and that includes carbs. Which we have carbs, menstrual carbs. We have sanitary pads, and the sanitary pads into two. We have the disposable and the reusable ones, and we also have tampons in the market. But the common ones that are used here in South Sudan or used by South Sudanese ladies here in the country, I don't mean the South Sudanese ladies who are not in the country, those ones, are only pads. In most cases, are pads and tampons. But when you look at the biggest population, 70% use pads. And these pads are divided into two. As I said, we have the disposable and the reusable ones. So the reusable ones, um, they are they are packed in different packets with different. Some are some are 6 pieces in a box, and some are 4 pieces in a box. And when you buy one box, you use it for 18 months. It's usually recommended to be used for 18 months, which is probably 2 years. And when you look at the disposable ones, because some people usually menstruate for 5 to 7 days, and you'll have to use when you change, like if you have a heavy flow, you'll have to use let me say 2 to 3 packets in a day or in a month. I mean, in a month. So they are very affordable in the market. That a packet goes for $1, but it depends on the brand, because we have different brands in the market. So there are those brands that are for $100, for $1, I mean, in the market, a packet, and other brands are less than $1 in the market. So it depends on what brand you want and what is friendly with your skin. So when you look at the disposable ones, the reusable ones, they're expensive, yeah, but expensive. Like when you buy one packet of 6 pieces inside, it will take you for 12 months. So let me say all these packets, these pads are affordable in a way that it depends on what you use and what is friendly with you as yourself, yeah, as a lady. And sanitary towels, yes, they are taxed, just like any other business in the country that is having some taxes that are attached to any other business. It's just the same way as sanitary towels business. they're all taxed in one way or the other. And like every organization, let me say the CSOs, they're struggling. They're talking about advocating for tax exemption of sanitary pads in the country, and not that they just wanted to advocate, but there was a commitment that was made by the government that was in Nairobi, the ICB summit that was done in Nairobi. The government submitted and committed to to stop taxing or to remove taxes attached to sanitary towels, so that every girl or every woman that menstruates find it so easy and so cheap to purchase these pads. When you look at the people from the rural areas or from poor backgrounds, they find it so hard to use these sanitary pads because sometimes they can't manage to get even a $50 to buy sanitary pads, to keep their menstruation. So they tend to go for options like using any other cloth in the house, and they don't know whether it's safe or it's not safe. They just use it as long as it will keep can keep them safe during their menstruation. So the government made that commitment, and everyone those who came across that commitment, more especially the civil workers, were so happy, expecting that really to happen, so that every girl and every woman out there managed to purchase or to use a safe menstrual product or menstrual product in the market. So that's what I can say about tax exemption and taxing sanitary pads or tax sanitary towels. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Florence. I noted earlier on in your discussion, you started by saying yes, sanitary towels are very affordable because it costs $1. But then towards the end, you mentioned that we have those who cannot even make half $1 a day. So I think when we are when we're talking about affordability, we're not looking at us, the middle income. Yes, us, we can afford the dollar, but the majority cannot afford that $1. So that was just a clarification I wanted to make. Thank you very much. Dr. Aya, welcome back. You went off, and I think you were talking about menstrual irregularities and what can be done, and how someone can tell how serious, if it is serious at all, or if it is nothing to be concerned about, and when it is right for somebody to seek medical help. So if you would like to unmute yourself and please complete what you are trying to say, because I feel it's really important to know.
We'll continue from where I stopped. As I said, the normal menstruation, the interval should be 28 days, and then the follow 28 days. Then from 21 to 34 days interval is accepted, and the flow should be average of 4 days. Then the range of 2 to 6 days is also accepted normal. So when you have your menstruation that come in the same interval of 28 days, but when it comes, it stay more than 7 days, or the amount of the bleeding is heavy, more than 80 ml. So this is considered as heavy and prolonged menses, which is called Menorrhagia. So Menorrhagia is usually a symptom of underlying disease. Mostly they are organic disease within the pelvic, such as infection or abnormal growth in the uterus, such as fibroid, which are benign tumor, or could be also cancer. Other causes are functional causes, such as hormonal imbalance. So when your mens come like in less than 21 days, This is also short period. It's called Menorrhagia. Also, there are other causes of it, mostly a hormonal imbalance. We have what is called oligomenorrhea. Oligomenorrhea, when you don't, like the mens stay the interval more than 35 days, then the mens come back. This long interval is called oligomenorrhea, and the causes are usually related to age. For adolescents when they are starting their menstruation, and also all the women when they are approaching their menopause, they start getting oligomenorrhea. Also weight related, or if obese women, they mostly get. And stress, if you are under stress, for example, you lost somebody, or you have exam, like your mind is under stress. Or also, if you those who do exercise, too much exercise also can cause oligomenorrhea. And endocrine disorder, such as some disease called polycystic ovarian syndrome. So the ovary will be having cyst, also can cause oligomenorrhea. And if you're having disorder of thyroid gland, like high thyroid hormone are too much, high thyroid, or the hormone called prolactin, which is a hormone released by pituitary gland in the brain. Also, if it is high, it also cause oligomenorrhea. And there are some drugs, if you are taking them, can cause oligomenorrhea. Hypomenorrhea is when the mens come less than 2 days, like the flow only less than 2 days. This also is not normal, and mostly due to either infection, chronic infection that result in healing of the endometrial gland by adhesion, or could be also due to hormonal change. Then we have another abnormality, which is amenorrhea. Like amenorrhea is absence of menstruation. So absence of menstruation is normal among female child, like before she reach puberty, before menarche, and then in woman when she's pregnant, and some women when they are lactating, when they are breastfeeding. Otherwise, if the woman is not getting her menstruation, this is called amenorrhea. So we have the primary amenorrhea, when the young girl fail to menstruate by the age of 16 years. So the normal average is 15 years. Up to 16 years, if the girl failed to menstruate, this is not normal. She should be taken for a doctor to identify what is the causes. So the cause usually could be congenital malformation within the uterus, like the uterus will be maybe the having some congenital malformation, such as imperforate hymen. In any normal woman, the hymen should be having a window for the menstrual blood to pass. So there are some congenital malformation when the hymen will be blocked. So she can be menstruating, but the blood cannot come out. It's accumulating within the uterus. And there are other congenital anomaly that can cause also problem with the ovary. Maybe the ovary are not producing hormones, or problem with from the brain, the pituitary gland or the hypothalamus. They are not giving impulse to the ovary and the uterus. By 16 years old, the girl failed to attend menarche. She's supposed to be taken for medical checkup to identify the cause and be treated. We have the secondary amenorrhea, which occur like in previously women who are menstruating normally, and then she just stopped to menstruate for consecutive 6 months, no mens. So this is called secondary amenorrhea. Also, there are causes to that secondary amenorrhea. Most commonly would be hormonal imbalance or other endocrine disorder, like other hormone problem. Also, can be identify the cause and treat. I heard I'm clear about the menstrual abnormality.
Yes, that was very clear. And I would just like to add this question to you to relate it to what Gloria said earlier. We talked about the common menstrual hygiene practices, and some of them that Gloria mentioned were like such as use of rags and newspapers and the like. So, as a doctor, what do you think? What health implications can arise because of use of poor sanitary products?
So this is unfortunately that some women in our rural area are still using those like material, even old clothes, as a menstrual absorbent. So menstrual hygiene, as I mentioned in all the previous menstrual abnormality, most of them are caused by infection. So if the menstrual hygiene is not good, so it will result in genital tract infection, and then genital tract infection, it will lead to most of the menstrual abnormality I told, and it can affect female reproductive life and result in infertility and other problems, and sexual transmitted disease also. So infection and sexual transmitted disease can be prevented by good menstrual hygiene, and also not forgetting the partner. Also, some sexual transmitted disease women can get from sexual partner. So the less partner, the less risk of infection.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I would like to jump to Florence, still relating to that issue of use of menstrual hygiene products, because Florence's company makes these reusable menstrual hygiene products. So I would like to hear from Florence. How safe are these products that you make? And if at all, is there any procedure in place to ensure that these products you make are safe for use?
Well, like uh, standards that the government have in place, um, there's no specific standard currently that they have, but what they have is that they adapted. They know that there's a recognized, menstrual products, reusable menstrual products globally that are safe to be used. So what they do is that they make sure that the reusable parts are made out of those products that are recognized, not any other products that just are gotten from the market and made. And there's one company that is globally, and that's AfriParts. So they approved the materials that are given that AfriParts used. So as a company that is making reusable sanitary pads, I am always restricted not to use any other materials for making sanitary pads apart from the one that AfriParts are using. And I remember there was a time I'm supposed to do training to young girls, so I had to go to the ministry for them to approve, Ministry of Health, for them to approve. So they first had to investigate which products am I using and which product am I going to use to train these young girls in making sanitary pads. So they had to they investigate and make sure that it was the products that AfriParts gave me for me to do the training. And then the training was approved later. But that's after a long process of making sure that these parts are really true. They had to even contact some other, UN agencies that, uh, donating NGOs with sensory parts to confirm first before they accept the training to happen. So currently, I can say that there are no current, that is South Sudan standard of measuring these materials that we use, but they adapt, or they are using another standard of, let me say, the East African standard for these parts. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Florence. It is important to know because even if it is not the reusable sanitary pads, even the disposable ones we have in the market, some of them cause problems. We face irritations. So it's unfortunate that we don't have a person from the government side to be here to answer our questions. But yes, it is good to always make sure that these products are safe for use. Now I move to Gloria. Gloria, can you please tell us from your experience, when do you think it is the right time to sensitize young girls about menstrual hygiene, and how can we bring the parents on board, parents, teachers, and other concerned persons? How can we include them in this sensitization awareness?
Okay. For me, I don't think there is an appropriate age for menstrual health education. I cannot say 10, I cannot say 12. According to the biology, they say the age that a girl is going into menstruate, the average is 12 years or 13 years. And mostly people focus on that, that this is the timing. But then to say that there's a lot of girls who get their period earlier than the age of 12, like 9 or even 8. As Dr. Ayak said earlier, that it depends on the nutrition you're getting, your body and everything. You may get your period earlier than the age of 13, and you may get actually your period late. So I don't think I can say that certain age or 12, because if I say 12, then we'll be missing the people will get their period at the age of 9 or 10 or even 8. But adolescent health education has to start as early. Actually, even in primary too. But then it has to be um, the system of giving that education, because when you look at that and then you see, okay, I'm suggesting that education, adolescent health education has to be given early as at the age of 8 or even 7, then there's a way you need to come with a strategic plan, and that's what I would say. It has to be in a very comic way. It has to be so that the kids, because they're very young at the age of 8, you can't come with their uterus and model and started teaching them, they won't understand. So it has to be in a very comic way to pass that information for the girls in school. So it has to start early. Adolescent health education has to start early. And it has to be in a very comic way so that they understand drama and everything, to make it easier for them, to make it engaging for them. And when it comes to the parents, and I believe parents play a critical role in educating their children. And we need to put parents down, and we need to educate parents about menstrual health and menstrual hygiene. And we need to tell them, father or a mother, because the idea that it's a woman issue, it doesn't resonate with me. I believe it's everyone issue. Father have to know what is it, what is menstruation, when does it come, at what age, which if he is in the house and the mother is not around, he will be equipped to know how to house the girl child in the house, his daughter in the house. So adolescent health education has to start early, and the parents have to take it serious upon themselves, mother or a father. They have to take it serious on educating their children. Um, Productivity, it doesn't have to be a by the way thing, but it has to be taken serious. Parent has to engage in educating them. Then we need to break the cultural taboos and stigma surrounding menstruation and talk about it normally. So there's no any age. I'm not going to indicate any age, but it has to start early.
You're very right, actually. It's very hard to say we'll start from this age, but I
Yeah,
believe we can make an estimate. If I know you have been to schools, you've talked to these girls, and it's very rare. Out of 10 girls, maybe you'll find just about two of them would say, my mother told me. The rest, they had to learn it the hard way. So I
yeah,
think we have to find a starting point of when to start the menstrual talk with the girls.
yeah.
Um, Ayak has dropped, so I'm going to go to Florence. Um, Sorry about that. I wanted to ask. Florence, if you can kindly please tell us to what extent, um, oh, it has been said, or in my introduction, I mentioned that the lack of sanitary products or facilities of space or the hygiene facilities is limiting women from reaching their full potential. So I would like to know from you, as a person who deals with the youth, to what extent do you think this is limiting women socially, economically, and politically?
Um, thank you. Like you have said it before, and I'm just going to, repeat after you. There's um, there's a statistics, or there's a report that was generated by SNV when they did a research uh, in in four countries, that is South Sudan, Ethiopia, Zimbabwe, and Uganda. Yes, and Uganda. And in that report, you find that in the study, 50% of the girls reported restrictions on their movement during their periods. And a 50% report, alone restriction in movement alone has already contributed, has limited the participation of these women or these young girls. Because when you limited a young girl, that maybe stops her from going to school. And when she didn't go, she cannot go to school. Maybe that when a girl is not educated, of course, she can't be able to, to reach to the level of participating politically, or even doing any other economical work that can generate for her some income. So that restriction alone has contributed to too many factors that limits the girl from any other performance. And then it went further and reported that the girls also reported about boys laughing or men mocking them. And it's in the report, it says that 52%, 52.6% men laughing at them. And abuses is 35.2%. And names that are called by them, by any menstruating women, are 21.3%. And then humiliation is 20.8%, and isolation is 16.9%. So you can look at this status statistics or data and know immediately that whatever information that young girls, even that we go to the community and young girls tell us, or that shows the poor performance of women in the community is attached to all these factors. When you're humiliated, you don't feel confident to contribute to anything. When you're abused, you don't feel like participating. You feel low in the community, and when you're restricted, you can't do anything. You can't do anything just because you don't have the freedom to do it. You're just restricted to something that is normal. It is not a sickness, but it is normal. So when you're restricted, you're humiliated, you don't have the confidence, you don't have the energy to participate or to do anything. You don't have the freedom to do anything in the society, and your performance becomes so and even you can not do anything since you're restricted. Definitely you can't do anything about the abilities that you have. You cannot show anything to the community, and that is something that is hindering the women in the community, definitely, because
Right. We're having an internet challenge. We have lost Florence. So, Gloria, it's you and me. Um, um, Please, I would like to know, again, it's unfortunate we do not have a person maybe from a government institution here to give us the facts. But you having been out there, knowing what the problems of the girls are or the women, what the women face in terms of menstrual
Please come and
hygiene
help.
management.
Please, my phone, the laptop is going off.
Can you please, Florence, please mute yourself, Florence. Okay, thank you. Yes, so Gloria was saying, based on your experience out there, you know what the problems are. So, what do you think are some of the policies that the government can adapt to solve these issues that women face? Gloria, can you unmute? Gloria, we cannot hear you. We can't hear.
Okay,
Yes.
I am so sorry. Uh, yeah, in regards to menstrual hygiene management policies in South Sudan, we do not have any policies in South Sudan. It's like it's a new country, so we don't have any. Right now, advocates are trying to make it like this is an issue and the government has to look in it. So then that means there's a push for policies that has to come out. And one of the things that I would suggest that in the policies is adolescents' health education has to be incorporated into the curriculum. And this is what is happening in Kenya. In Kenya, there is a sex education. It falls under sex education in Kenya, where they teach you about everything, comprehensive sex education. Um, uh, PVT and the STDs, STIs, and everything, you're being taught in school. And that start early. Like I think in Kenya, it's like every Friday, it's like all girls and boys are being taught that education. But then in the curriculum, in our curriculum in South Sudan, we don't have that. And I would say that it has to be incorporated. And I've seen that Ambref Africa has been teaching last week, teaching teachers about comprehensive sex education to be incorporated to the curriculum. And I feel like this is a very good step. This is a very good step towards policies, because once this is incorporated into the curriculum, then that means there is an access to information. And I believe information is a right for everybody. Everybody should have the right information. So if it's being done in school, then that's a good step towards policy. Second, I would say in regards to the tax, yeah, many people in South Sudan live below poverty line. As Florence was saying, the sanitary pad is $1. $1 is very expensive, and I don't think it's $1. I think it's more than $1. And there's different products that are outside there. As you say, there's products that are not standard, that it's causing a lot of rashes to women. And that has to be, I don't know how the product enters South Sudan, but it has to be a standard kind of, we don't just let products come in and go. Even the reusable parts, I have a problem with reusable parts. Because reusable part has to be, you need to be having access to wash facilities to use reusable parts. But if you don't have access to water, you don't have access to soap, then that means we are creating a lot of problems to women and girls. We are not helping, but we're creating. So it has to be access to water, access to soap, access to disposables and everything. So I would say sanitary pad has to be exempted because that will benefit a lot of women. Then that means we will both we will improve our performance of girls in school, because menstruation and not having access to all these really disruption in the life of girls in school. It lowers their performance. They drop out of the school because of that. So if we have tax being exempted in menstrual products, then at least, you know, parents will be able to prioritize, because if now we look into pads, if I buy pads that's 1,500, that's a lot of money. So it's school got over any parents to say, okay, this is money that we eat every day. Some people, some households eat that 1,500. So tax has to be exempted on period products. It's a need. It's considered as a luxury, but it's not a luxury. It's a need. I need that in order for me to function on my day-to-day life. Then I need sanitary pads. When we go to around Juba, there's another organization that I've seen. There's a displacement of condoms. You can go and grab a condom, but pads are not that. It's not luxury good. You know, that's a need. So tax has to be exempted. Menstrual health education has to be incorporated into curriculum. And then in Kenya, and I'm referring to Kenya because Kenya last year has passed, President Uhuru Kenyatta has signed a bill to give pads for free in the rural areas, not in Kenya. Believe the assumption is that people who live in Kenya will be able to afford sanitary pads. So it's been signed for free. Girls get for free. Those who are in school. I don't think that will really fit into our South Sudan, like into South Sudan, because everybody is suffering in Juba, outside Juba. It's the same level. But then, if all we can push is the awareness aspect of it, you know, awareness aspect, we need to this is destigmatize the menstruation, the stigma that comes with it, that comes with awareness. The menstrual culture has to come in and also have a conversation with community leaders on the stigma that surround menstruation. So this is the policy that I would suggest that, and then there's a lot of that we need to look deep down. Yeah, we need to look deep down in what policies can we come with apart from the curriculum and apart from the tax exemption, apart from engaging community into this conversation. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Gloria, for that very elaborate answer. You're definitely right. Before the tax exemption, before the uh, provision of sanitary facilities, I think it all begins with taking the step towards fighting that stigma, uh, making sure we create as much awareness as possible. Um, Florence? Okay, Gloria, I'm going to ask you again. Um, can you please tell us? I have seen in your campaigns that I've actually seen more women than men supporting that campaign of yours. And as people who have interacted with girls in school who have heard of the stories of bullying, either by their fellow students or even by teachers, male teachers, making fun of them when they soil their uniform while at school. What is the importance of including men in these awareness campaigns that you're trying to do or that anybody else does? Why is it important that we should always include men?
Okay. I think our campaigns is, I don't know if we have a lot of women, but I've seen also a good number of men that are coming on board. And and when I saw that, and I feel it's really good. Last year in November, during the 16 days of activism, we launched a campaign called Paths for Her. And I remember during the Paths for Her, we have a big number of men. And and it gives me that, and that means they're accepting that the conversation should happen. We should normalize it. It's something normal, and they're coming on board. I feel like it's really important to have men on board in order for us to push create a community or a society, you know, that is strived for that equal, right? We need to have men on board because periods affecting women, not only because, and then that's it. I called menstrual health. That's how I call it. I'm a menstrual health advocate because when we say hygiene, we're only talking about the hygienic part of it. But when we say health, then that means we're talking the overall well-being of a woman. So if I'm talking about overall well-being of a woman, then it involves men. You know, it involves men has to be in it because we live in the same society, we live in the same community. If I don't function well, then certain things will not go ahead. If we're in an office where there's a lot of women, and as Dr. Ayak said, there is pain that women go through, there's this and there's this, then I will not be, there's mood swings that happen when you're having your period, then I will not be able to function, right? But if I'm having a moral support, the men that are around me are able to give me the moral support and tell me this is okay and it's going to be okay. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything, but you hear that someone is actually knowing that you're going through something, knowing that you're going through your period and your mood can change and everything, then it's important, right? So we need men on board to be able to educate, to break the stigma because men are the one, as you said, men are the one, boys are the one bullying the girl child in school. So if we have men taking their pictures like this, telling that I stand in solidarity with women who are bleeding or women who have been discriminated against, then the young boy in school that are going to is going to see that and say, oh, so something it's normal thing. So that means I don't have to laugh about it. If they see a man coming to school and educating them about menstruation and menstrual health, then they will have in mind that, they will look at them as a role model. And I think we need that in this advocacy, you know, playing as an ally for us women and educating the boy because men are easier to receive information from men compared to women. So if I go to school as a woman, the boys would feel shy, but when they see a man that is coming and teaching them about that, then it's easier for them to get the information. So they serve as a role model. They help in breaking the stigma and myths surrounding menstruation. So it's important to have men on board. In short, it's important to have men on board. To create a conducive environment, we have to know about menstruation, all of us, and it's our collective responsibility. It's not a woman issue, all of us issue. It's an issue of human rights because me being discriminated against, then I will not be able to act. My rights to education will be determined by that. My rights to information and health, water, decent work and everything that comes with it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, because sorry, we seem to be having a challenge with the internet. I was saying the biggest challenge the girls are having at the school at the moment, missing out on classes, and that is the fear that if the boys find out, what will happen. So it
As
is
as
very,
we as we
very,
lost,
very,
I think Veronica.
yes. Sorry. Yes. I would like to move to Dr. Ayak. Oh, we've lost Dr. Ayak. So I'm going to go to you, Florence. Um, can you just give us your recommendations and your closing remarks?
Well, my network is really very bad. Uh,
apologize for that. Well, I just want to say that if if the government can really accept the call for the tax exemption on sanitary pads, it will be better. I accepted from the first statement that I started. I said that yes, it's affordable, but only like to the 30% that I mentioned. I said 70% people can't afford, women and young girls can't afford. But then the yes is only for the 30% that can afford. But the 70%, which means the majority of the population cannot really afford to put on sanitary pads or to buy them monthly. So if anybody can, it's a collective energy of everyone in this country, to work towards that. It's a responsibility of the youth, the government itself, and whoever is in this country to work on the tax exemption for every young girl. And if I know it can't work out now, but then it's good also if we can support these young girls by at least buying them, supporting them with the pads, so that they can use them monthly.
It's unfortunate to have lost Florence again. So back to you, Gloria. Gloria, this is given the fact that you're a doctor or a pharmacist, I believe you can answer any question related to science and the like. So we just wanted to know, why is it that some women get their menstruation immediately um, after childbirth, and other women get it like 6 months after, or even more than a year after? Maybe you can answer, then Dr. Ayak will rescue you.
I am so lucky because I came, so she
So
should take her question.
uh,
Dr.
can
Ayak,
you hear me?
yes, over to you. Thank
Can
God
you?
you're here to rescue Gloria. Yes,
Yes,
we can hear you.
I heard the question. Yes,
Okay,
I heard the
go
question.
ahead. Okay.
So when women don't get their menstruation back uh, right away after pregnancy and childbirth, this we call lactational amenorrhea. So for lactational amenorrhea, there are two mechanisms that occur for the woman to have lactational amenorrhea. So the mechanism of nipple stimulation when she's breastfeeding her baby, and then the stimulus that the baby will make when they are sucking the nipple, it gives an impulse to the brain, and it will change the hormones that were for ovulation. The ovulation will be inhibited. If no ovulation, mean no menstruation. This is one way. Another mechanism is by production of hormone called prolactin. So every female and some male also, they have a hormone prolactin uh, during pregnancy and after childbirth. This hormone will be secreted from the brain, from the pituitary gland, by high numbers. So high prolactin level will also inhibit ovulation, also no menstruation. So why some women will get the menstruation when others will not get? So it depends on the breastfeeding. So women who continuously and frequently breastfeed their baby, they will more likely not to get their menstruation back earlier. So those will not breastfeed their baby, they are more likely to have the menses earlier. So the breastfeeding, it has to be exclusive. If you are giving bottle feeding, then breastfeeding is not continuous. So there will be change in the hormone and the menstruation will come back.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that clarification. I, for one, I have always wanted to know why some people go over 1 year. Oh, I'm not in my period yet. Then some of us is like 3 months after birth, you're already back to it. So thank you very much for making that clear. Gloria, do you mind giving us your recommendations and closing remarks?
Yes. What I would say is that according to the theme of this year, menstrual hygiene theme, it's uh, it's a time for action, an investment on menstrual hygiene day. And I will say it's all of us collectively to invest. Invest our time, not your money, but your time in educating and breaking the stigma in your own capacity, and also pushing for the government to invest in wash infrastructure, to invest in policies in regards to menstrual hygiene management. It takes all of us to work together. I can only do little, but if we collectively we can do more. So menstrual hygiene is a normal body function that happens to every girl, and it shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't be an obstacle to girl child education. Education is a right, and if menstruation is limiting girls' education, then there's something that we need to do. There's inequalities that is happening in our society. So we need to work together. We need to break those inequality. We need to, break the discrimination that is happening towards our girls and women in South Sudan at large, and push the government to invest in menstrual hygiene management. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Gloria. Dr. Ayak, lastly, to you, your recommendation and closing remarks as a doctor.
So as I mentioned earlier, that menstrual hygiene has implication on the female reproductive health. So as the government and the stockholder, they need to emphasize more on this issue, and there need to be a clear guidelines for menstrual hygiene, and then especially for girls at the school, availability of water, soap, sanitary pads of low cost or even free. And then it start from the parent at home to school. They need to uh, girl to be informed about what is menstruation, and then how to manage. And talking about menstruation should not be something embarrassing. They should talk about it so they can learn more. Thank you. So
Thank
together we can do better.
Yes. Thank you very much, ladies. We at South Sudanese Women Intellectuals Forum appreciate very much your time. And we want to wish you every day is Menstrual Hygiene Day, because if I'm not menstruating today, somebody else is menstruating tomorrow. So happy Menstrual Hygiene Day to all of us.
So,
Yes.
Happy menstrual hygiene day.
bye.